seek to answer through this session are what are the things that affect demand, buyers' demand of goods, sellers' supply of goods. How do we determine what price at which we sell goods? What is elasticity of demand and stuff. For a commerce student, yes, I guess 11th, 12th economics should suffice. So what economics is all about? Economics is the study of how society manages its scarce resources, how people, which is a scarce resource, human capital as we talk about, decide where to work, what to work, what to buy, how to spend. Then how firms decide the factors of production, what land, how much capital, how much labor, how much factors of production do they want to use, and then how the government or the society divides it. How they divide the scarce resources amongst themselves. Okay. So some basic principles in economics are people face trade-off. We always have a choice between one thing or the other things, and that drives our decisions. Like for people who are working on a job, right? So they might have a decision whether to continue working on the job or whether to pursue MBA. For other people, it can be whether to buy Apple iPods, earpods, or to buy another company's AirPods, right? So there is always a trade-off. The cost of any action is measured in terms of foregone opportunities. That is what the opportunity cost we talk about, right? If we are going to pursue an MBA, we are going to give away 2 years of our life. We are going to give away the job that we are doing. That is 2 years of income we are losing, right? So it is one of the opportunity cost of MBA is 2 years of your life. The opportunity cost of MBA is 2 years of the job that you're giving up to do MBA. So that is the income that you're giving up to do MBA. Rational people make decisions by comparing marginal cost and marginal benefits. Whenever you're studying economics, marginal means additional. So you make decisions on the basis of the additional cost for something you need. Like if you want to buy an earpod, there is going to be some cost, right? And you have to decide on the basis of that. People respond to incentives. That is human nature and everyone knows about, right? Okay, so you don't need to know about principles of interaction. Then what is demand? Demand is anything, the amount that buyers are willing and able to purchase. Willing, that you want, able, that you have enough income to buy it. So it's very important when it is a demand. It is demand when you can purchase it. You have enough money. Unless you have enough money, then it becomes a want. Right? It becomes a want. Then the law of demand, very important for people to know this. The law of demand says that as the quantity demanded of a good falls, or the quantity demanded falls as the demand of that, the demand of a good falls as the price of the good rises. Guys, please don't drop in your comments. Disturbing a bit. We will take questions and doubts in a while. Okay, anything is called a demand when you are willing, you want to purchase it, and you have the money or the income to purchase it. Okay, then it is demand. But if you want to purchase something and you do not have money for it, then it is just a want, right? Because you won't be able to materialize it. कंपनी उसको कंसिडर अभी नहीं करेगा जब तक आपके पास पैसे नहीं है, ठीक है? कंपनी like I meant suppliers by this. So want, demand is only demand when you want is added with money. Law of demand says that the quantity demanded of a good falls when the price of a good rises. what happens in interviews, guys, is they can ask you to draw graphs on paper, or in one of my interviews, I was required to draw a graph. I guess it was an indifference curve or demand or price. So if you are required to draw the graph of the law of demand, you can draw this. So this is, as price rises, quantity demanded falls. As price falls, quantity demanded rises. It is a negative slope, inversely proportional. Lakshman, it's not directly proportional, it's inversely proportional. So the demand schedule shows the relationship between different price and quantity demanded. Different price पे क्या quantity demanded था, which we'll see in the next slide. And demand curve that we have seen here, we'll see that in detail as well. So this is the demand schedule and the demand curve. When the price of lattes is 0, the quantity of latte demanded is 16. As and when the price increases, the quantity demanded falls. As we talked about the relationship or the law of demand, that price increases resulted in lesser quantity demanded. So this is what I have drawn in the previous graph, and this is how it looks. Okay. Then let's talk about the things that affect demand. What are the things that can affect demand? Other things other than price. Okay. What are the other things that can affect demand? Tell me, guys. What are your guesses? Increase in income, preference, right? How does supply affect demand, Mayank? If you don't want to buy anything, how much it is available doesn't matter, right? New product, okay. Chandrasekharan, availability of raw material doesn't impact demand, guys. You are not making it. Inflation, yes. Raise in income standards, yes. Taste, yes. Alternate goods, yes. More supply, less demand. Rishabh, supply doesn't affect demand. अगर आपको कोई चीज खरीदना ही नहीं है तो उसका कितना भी सप्लाई हो रहा हो, हाउ डज इट मैटर टू यू? डजंट, राइट? टेक्नोलॉजी, yes. New products, yes. Okay, got it. So two things, one very important thing that commerce students or economic students can be asked is the difference between shift in demand and the movement in demand. Okay, so there are two things that you have to remember. Whenever a movement in demand, that is movement in the curve that we talked about, that is the demand curve, happens, it happens only through price, all else remaining equal. So this is the movement that we are seeing here, right? This is the movement that we are seeing. As price is falling, quantity demanded is rising, or we can say this is the other way around. Okay, the movement is happening this way. ठीक है, जब भी मूवमेंट की बात करेंगे तो इट हैपेंस अक्रॉस द डिमांड कर्व, on the demand curve line. This is very important for non-engineers to know, because this is a very frequently asked question of these two. Then when we are not talking about price and the other things, then it results in a shift in the demand curve. This is a simple thing to understand, guys, because यहाँ पे हम direct determinants में डायरेक्ट डिटर्मिनेंट्स में प्राइस और क्वांटिटी की बात कर रहे हैं, तो अगर हम प्राइस को एक एक्सेस में रखेंगे तो कोई भी मूवमेंट होगा तो वो ऊपर नीचे से हम एक ही कर्व में शो कर सकते हैं, राइट? वी कैन शो इट इन अ सिंगल कर्व बिकॉज we have marked the axis to that thing. But now if we don't have a different axis itself, it is not impacting price. These are other things that are impacting demand. So we have to draw a newer curve that just shows a change in quantity demanded but not a change in price. Yes, movement along and movement of okay. Mayank, general thing, if you are working on this axis, price is there. Anything, any change in price, you can show it in this curve itself, right? You can show it in this curve. Price rises, falls, आप एक single curve में show कर सकते हो. But if you are talking about other factors, like the other factor here is number of buyers. If the number of buyers rises, let's talk about number of buyers. So if the number of buyers rises and they want that quantity, that commodity, then the quantity demanded of that good rises. Okay? So now we don't have a number of buyers on the axis. So we cannot represent the change in this graph, right? Because it curtails to price and quantity. So we move the demand curve to the right side, because agar number of buyers will rise, with quantity demanded will rise. Now is it clear, guys? Can be asked from other students as well, and but it won't come as generally, because unless you say that you have done or studied economics. Out of the blue वो chemistry student या bio students से economics नहीं पूछने लगेंगे, guys, don't worry. So simple rule to learn this is, you can learn this table. So if the variable is price, it causes a movement along the demand curve. बाकी जितने भी वेरिएबल्स होंगे वो सारे शिफ्ट कॉज करते हैं, लाइक इनकम, लाइक प्राइस ऑफ रिलेटेड गुड्स, टेस्ट, एक्सपेक्टेशंस एंड ऑल दीज स्टफ. सो बाकी सबसे शिफ्ट होगा क्योंकि हम उनको एक्सिस पे रिप्रेजेंट नहीं कर रहे हैं. Yes, yes, right shift and left shift is there, definitely. Chetan, here we are showing it's a rise, but suppose the general income of the population falls, as we have seen during the pandemic, a lot of people have lost their jobs, a lot of people have lost their income. So demand चीजों की कम हो गई है, right? So it results in a leftward shift. So that's not a problem. Amount of shift depends on the variable we are talking about. You don't have to worry too much about that. This is just a concept, simple concept. प्राइस होगा तो कर्व पे मूव करेगा, बाकी चीजें होंगी तो डिमांड राइज और फॉल करेगा. कितना करेगा, दैट वुड डिपेंड ऑन द वेरिएबल इन्वॉल्व्ड. मूविंग ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट बिग थिंग, दैट इज सप्लाई. Supply is amount that sellers are willing and able to sell, right? The law of supply is just opposite of the law of demand. The law of demand had a inverse relationship between price and quantity. Law of supply has a direct relationship between price and quantity. As the quantity supplied of the good rises, the price of the good also rises. So we have a direct relationship there. Okay. And similarly, like we saw the demand curve, we'll see the supply curve and the function as well. So ये upward sloping है because we have a direct relationship. As price rises, quantity demanded, quantity supplied also goes on rising. Okay. Now, again, if anything happens to price, we can directly show the impact on this curve itself. That is movement along the supply curve. Then we have to talk about the things that shift supply. Supply, okay. Mayank, supply of a particular commodity we are talking about. Supply of a particular commodity increases, price increases as well. This is from producer's point of view, because if they have to supply, this is not from your individual point of view. When we are talking about supply in economics, we are talking from producer's point of view. We are talking about producer's point of view, because if you want to sell more, if a producer, suppose I am a producer and I want to produce more, and supply more, we will have to increase the price to manage our cost, right? अगर हम price नहीं बढ़ाएंगे and we increase our supply, uh, we are talking about general situations, competition or macroeconomic front यहाँ पे don't take it. Okay, we'll talk about those conditions later. Don't think this is just a assumption based economics that we're talking about, just definitions. So if you, a supplier or a producer will only increase supply when price आप बढ़ाओगे, otherwise he won't produce more because it decreases his profit. If we talk about perfect world, okay, then as Mohit has said, supply increases due to increase in price and not vice versa. Yes, you can use this as a way to learn as well. So what are the other factors that can cause that can affect supply? Okay, guys, take a guess. Factors other than price that can affect supply. Government policy, production cost, yes. Cost of raw materials, right. Demand, okay, yes. More liquidity, raw material, cost of technological advancements, okay, got it. So you guys did get it. Again, we are talking about input prices. The input prices means cost of raw materials only, or the cost of production that you guys have talked about. Cost of raw materials for production. So price वाले graph में we cannot show because direct relation ही है. Then we show it in a new graph altogether. Similar to what we studied. It's not so directly related easily. It isn't always, if demand increases, supply increases. It's not always the same, right? Because if we talk about the real world, general example में आप non-renewable fuels ले लो. The demand has been increasing exponentially, right? But the supply has not been increasing exponentially. There have been innovations in renewable resources, so it's not always the same. Don't try to relate the both, guys. Just understand them separately, and as we move on, we will understand other things. This is a book economics. Don't relate it to real world. Real world doesn't work with so many assumptions how economics works. Okay, so this is again the summary of variables that influence sellers. Okay, let's talk about market mechanism. Market mechanism is a tendency in a free market for a price to change until the market clears. So market equilibrium is a situation. कब equilibrium दो चीजों का होता है? When something that is needed is equal to something that is being provided. तो जब net sum zero हो जाएगा, right? Equal is and everything is zero. So when the market is in equilibrium, when the amount that is demanded is equal to amount that is supplied, no extra thing is there in the market or no other person in the market is there जिसको what they wanted they didn't get. Okay, so it happens when everyone gets what they want.